Low quality fans of a high quality playoff team, whomever that playoff team may be. Welcome back to another series preview. Now we're doing the Capitals and the Habs. Oh, this series is actually far more interesting than people are giving it credit for. And I know there's one very likely winner, but there is a lot of nuance to this one that I'm kind of excited to talk about. A couple quick things here. Bracket challenge listed below. Check it out. Win a free jersey. Woot woot. Also, a couple things about the way I do these previews. First of all, I focus far more on the 3 or so months leading up to the playoffs. Most of the data I'll use will be focused on that. I think it gives a better snapshot of where a team is in most cases. The advanced analytics are from naturalstattrick.com, unless I otherwise say so specifically. I mean, I've said this so many times, you'd think I'd get better at it. The home ice means next to nothing to me outside of extreme cases like the Canes, and then predictions at the end are more for funsies than they are for reality, because I am bad at them either way. Let's talk about this series, shall we? From the perspective, of course, of a diehard Sabres fan. All right, Sabres coming back. The lead up to the playoffs, the Capitals go 2-0-1 this year against the Habs and are heavy favorites. The Capitals are interesting, and they've been interesting all year because despite being expected to fall further back in the standings this year, they finished the season ranking in the top 10 in most categories. Second best goals for per game, 8th best goals allowed per game, the 5th best penalty kill, and the 13th best power play, and that is on the year. Just last year, they were legitimately one of the worst playoff teams of the last 15 years. A rebuild was the expectation, but we thought they might just try to hang on to be as competent as possible so that Ovi could continue his record chase. Now, I'm not sure which actually won out, if they truly thought they were becoming more competitive or if they're just trying to get a little better to give Ovi a better chance here. I'm sure they didn't expect the year that they had. But instead of a kind of rebuild process, the summer starts by trading Darcy Kemper, their big-ticket goaltender who had been struggling, for Pierre-Luc Dubois, an even bigger contract with more years on it for a player who had been struggling and also seemed to be a toxic case around the league. It's a my problem for your problem trade, but boy, did it work out for both sides. Pierre-Luc Dubois would finish the season 4th on the team in points with 66. He would play every single game as well. It was a sign of things to come. To start the offseason, they do that, and then they trade for Mangiapane, Logan Thompson, Jacob Chikrin, then going out and signing Matt Roy, Brandon Duhaime, Taylor Radish, Verana, and finally trading for Lars Eller to finish up the summer. The result was a team that looked far different from the previous one, but hadn't given up much in terms of short-term assets. So the first 3 months of the season were just shocking. Second best record in the league on January 1st. Ranking near the top in virtually every statistic available. Just mind-blowing, really. And it was impressive that they didn't do anything at the trade deadline, too, because they didn't want to mess with their magical season. So they brought in a couple fringe pieces and just called it that, which actually, there's an argument to go all in, and then there's an argument that our whole is so much better than its parts that, let's just leave this alone. Because genuinely, what deal do they make? Do they go all in to get some superstar or something like that, and then you really just mess up with the way the team's playing? I liked it. I thought it was smart. It's a very, very specific scenario where that's the smartest decision, is just to leave everything alone. They nailed it, this one. Honestly, I was waiting for the cliff to come this season, though. I'm in middle of January. I'm like, it's any day now. Any day now, this team's just going to fall on its face. Well, they didn't, but there is an argument here that many of us still have a point when it comes to not trusting this team. They had the second highest shooting percentage through the first 3 months, and a PDO, which is a stat found by adding the team's save percentage with the team's shooting percentage, largely considered kind of your luck factor. It was second in the league. Now, good shooting and goaltending doesn't immediately mean the team is just lucky, but since February 1st, their play has been far more mid. Both their special teams are closer to middle of the league, and although their goals scored per game and shooting percentage still sit around the top 5, their goals allowed per game and team save percentage, more specifically, have cratered, ranking 26th and 30th, respectively. The 5-on-5 numbers, not actually that much more comforting. They rank 19th in the league through the last 10 weeks on goals for percentage with 48%. The 5-on-5 offense is still there, ranking top 10 in goals scored per game, but the goals allowed per 60 are ahead of only Nashville and Chicago at 5-on-5. You might know that Nashville and Chicago, really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. There is some solace in the fact, though, that the underlying numbers point to a team that should be closer to breaking even at 5-on-5 rather than getting beat. That really just comes from the goaltending, which is drowning. Neither Lindgren or Thompson has a save percentage above 890 during the last 10 weeks. Frankly, neither goalie is all that close to 890 either. Lindgren sits at an 879 and Thompson at an 886. Thompson's numbers are especially confusing as his average goals allowed distance at 5-on-5, now we're getting really specific, so I get it if you're kind of tuning out on me, but the average goals allowed distance at 5-on-5 is almost 25 feet. The only goaltender who are worse over that stretch, the only, I should say, playoff goaltenders who are worse over that stretch are Kemper and Vasilevsky, who each have a save percentage above 935 at even strength. So you have two goalies who are technically allowing goals from farther out, but far less of them, and have way better numbers at 5-on-5 than Kemper. It's really, that's kind of the difference between a goaltender that, and I need to watch Thompson more too, because if you're sitting there going, you have no idea the luck this guy has had. It's bouncing off his defenders. It's popping over sticks and over his head and into the... Like, that's what you would assume with Vasilevsky and Kemper. Because their percentages for save percentage are so high that they're only getting beat on these weird bounces from distance, right? Whereas Thompson is allowing a lot of goals. His percentages aren't good. And they're coming from far out. It's just extra damning. But if you told me that it's just an unbelievable stretch of bad luck, I wouldn't be able to prove you wrong because I haven't personally watched him that much over the last few weeks at least. This all sounds super negative, right? The advanced stuff over the back half of the season, not great, but there's still a lot to like about this Capitals team, especially the depth both offensively and defensively that you could argue is some of the best in the league. And genuinely, I don't think this Caps team should struggle much with the rebuilding Habs thanks to one particular weakness that we're going to get to. But round 2 and beyond, though, are plastered with red-ish flags for the Capitals. We'll worry about that when we get there, but I have some concerns. The Canadiens, on the other hand, which is a really, really fun story for them. No one get it twisted. This is just bonus hockey for a Habs team that, should have been at least another year or two away from meaningful hockey in late March or April. Like, no one rebuilds this fast anymore. Although I guess you could say it's been going on for a while, but I don't know. It feels like just a couple of years of really bad years, and then they had some middling stuff. They obviously went to the finals and in that COVID bubble, which just everyone kind of just seems to be like, that was just a weird year. But I don't know. I don't want to take anything away from it there. I do, because I'm technically a Buffalo fan. But you know what I'm saying. So this Habs team, they are based on some strong goaltending. They're based on other teams in the East absolutely face-planting. And they're based on having some truly electric, high-talent young players. Look, I hate the Habs, obviously. But I'm not about to pretend like the league is a better place without them. This is a hockey franchise that helps define the NHL. And them being back in the postseason is just a really fun wrinkle to an already exciting playoff group. That's all it is. No one expected much of this team to start the year. Through the first 3 months, they had a middling offense, 18th, abysmal defense at 28th, middling power play, sitting literally dead center of the league at 16th, and a penalty kill that was relying on goaltending to sit just inside the top 10. Through that time frame, they sat 19th in the league, sticking around in the playoff picture, but not really making a move one way or the other. What was important about sticking around, though, is that when Boston's season fell off the tracks and opened up that spot, they were one of a couple teams that had a real good shot at making a wild card run. They did manage to get that second wild card as squeaking past the very lovable Blue Jackets, who also young and electrifying. Through the last 10 weeks of the season, though, not much change in their numbers. a middling offense and a power play that was slowly worsening, a penalty kill that was also kind of declining to the league average. But their defense, well, really their goaltending, was just getting better and better. Since February 1st, they ranked 10th in goals allowed per game, which was the strength that allowed them to beat out other wildcard hopefuls. I mean, they were their competition, particularly for about 6 weeks there, all fell over. No one could even maintain a 500 record. So it meant if you had any sort of winning run like the Habs did, then you were putting yourself in a great position, which was great job by them. It's just 91 points, standing points, is on the lower end for playoff teams. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So it wasn't the defense, though, that really got them there. It was the goaltending, specifically Montembeault, who through the last 10 weeks of the season had a .914 save percentage despite sitting behind a defense giving up the 9th most high-danger chances in the league at 5-on-5 and 5th most at all strengths. To be clear, through that time frame, they also ranked 29th in expected goals allowed. The Habs don't have a lot to lean on here, but as far as strengths go, Montembeault might be just a massive one. 29th in expected goals allowed. And yet, just wasn't happening. Montembeault was there, stopping them. So the important factors in this series. And this is kind of tough because even with the Habs having a very strong goaltender and having some real talent on that team, the important factors are kind of like, could the Capitals stumble here? Because they should win this series. They should win this series. The first one is Logan Thompson's and Protas's health. Thompson is expected to return Game 1 or Game 2, and even though he's struggled through the final stretch of the season, you'd like to see him as the number one for the Caps. Lindgren's a capable backup, but Thompson has showed greater heights are available to him. Protas is no guarantee to see game action in the series, but is trending in the right direction. But frankly, the Caps should have the depth to survive these injuries in this series. It just makes things slightly more interesting. Slightly. The Capitals' depth is one of the big factors as well, and it's just wave after wave after wave of destructive forces to send shift after shift after shift, both up front and on the back end. From pure NHL impact, the Caps may have the deepest defense in the league with one of the deepest forward groups. The Habs may have 3 of the best 5 players in the series. They might. Suzuki, Caulfield, and Hudson aren't far and away better than the best players on the Caps, but they are damn good. If I was going to draft between these two teams, those 3 guys might go in the top 5. It's close, but I think they might. This isn't like a top-heavy versus depth thing, though. The Capitals can mostly match them at the top and then thoroughly beat them with the depth down the lineup. And no, Habs fans, I'm not saying that your team has no depth and they're going to struggle, but your most effective players when it comes to winning this series are very much at the top, and the second, third, and fourth lines are just not going to match what the Capitals can bring at you. The last and the biggest thing, this is a weakness that I teased earlier in the video. In this series, through the year, there is one thing that the Habs are worse at than nearly every team in the NHL. Breaking the damn puck out of their zone. The turnover machines in their own zone. And that's been a trend all year, even through their best stretches. Montembeault has had to make up for a lot of that in a big way, and he's done an excellent job doing just that. But in a playoff series against a team that has 3 lines of excellent forechecking and a defensive core that won't make the same mistakes in their zone, this feels like a huge tipping factor for the series that can't be overcome. This is the reason you would choose a sweep. I'm not that bold. Of course, I have the Caps winning in my prediction, and I say quickly as well in 5 games. But again, for most Habs fans, I'm pretty sure they're sitting there going, bonus hockey, baby, who cares? They are way ahead of schedule. And there's more youth, there's more prospects, and that Demidov kid, he's going to be so good. I hate the Habs. Go Capitals! And of course, here at the end of the video, I love to give some shout outs to the fantastic high quality inspectors who help support the channel and keep this running. I super appreciate every single one of you, from the role player tier, the top line tier, and of course the all-star tier. We are going to do our shout outs for this top line tier. Thank you so much to Sean Kreider, Michael Kammerer, Chris and Erica, Kevin Timperley, Quackin' Platypus, JM, Smoke Channels, Shaggy, Adam Ella, Albert Waldron, Negev79, Lola Cattingsworth, EKM Productions, Moonlighter TV, Big Bad Bruin, The Bugman, Jeff with a G, Tommy Braga, Roland22, GD Viperworks, Len Kreutz, Brock Nope, Han Slobo, Coach D, The Atomic Lizard, Bradley Johnson, Brett Arney, Pincent, and Nick Zatrullo. Thank you so much, each and every one of you. Your top line material. But now we got to move on to our all-star tier members, the absolute legends. We have Jacob Pratt, Jake Brower, Dampen, JG's 12, Mark S., Ann Hustis, Tim R., Lorenzo Wood, Penny Pasta, Levi Catalani, Boston Stringler, Bagel, Nightmare Eco, John Kirk, Joel, Stealthy Potato, Heil E. Coyote, Darren Woodbury, Abraxion, Wolf Warrior, Vinny, Adrian Winter, Tupton D. Tashi, Bruin Smash, D.A. Kingery, The Only Newts, A Tasty Snack, Dutes42, and Jeremy. Thank you all for all of the support and love that you are all giving. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, go Bees!